Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. I wanted to address a question that I get asked fairly often, and it's why does my perfume smell different? A lot of us, we know to keep our fragrances out of heat and light. Some of us even keep our fragrances in a fridge, but many times when we go to buy our replacement bottle, it doesn't exactly smell like we remembered. And so there are two reasons for this. The biggest one actually isn't reformulation, but oxidation. And so there's nothing we can do to avoid oxygen entering our bottle. It's just a part of wearing fragrance, right? As the perfume comes out, the oxygen enters, and it does have a chemical reaction with the fragrance and destabilizes it. Also, maceration, how long the fragrance is in the bottle, is going to change the perfume. Sometimes for the better. Sometimes you get some of those base notes really coming out and the fragrance becomes more voluptuous and ambery. Sometimes though, with the citrus notes, they get kind of flat and bland. And because there's usually both of those things in a perfume, you don't know what direction it's going to take. Now, fragrance companies do a lot to ensure the stability of a fragrance for up to 3 years. They even test it in heat and light under UV rays. And yes, they test it half full to see the change with oxidation. And they really only allow a margin of change. But many of us perfume consumers and enthusiasts, because we have our collections, we have our fragrance bottles for a lot longer than 3 years. And a lot of times sitting there half empty, and it's going to result in a change. The next reason that your fragrance might smell different is reformulation. Now, the vast majority of reformulations are due to government regulations, EU regulations, which affect us all, even if you're in the States, because a lot of these brands are European, and states like California also follow European legislation as of recently. One of the myths that I want to debunk is that brands will reformulate a fragrance due to cost. They want a bigger margin. I will say this is not the case for the mass majority of fragrances. I did a internship or a rotation in technical perfumery. I was in the Givaudan Perfumery School to learn how it works, and I actually didn't see any briefs where it was due to cost. It was always due to regulations, which ultimately are for the safety of the consumer. So yes, it's a bummer when our fragrances change, but we really do want to be on the leading edge of safety. So my advice is to the perfumes you really love, to really use them, to wear them, to not be afraid of them running out, because there's nothing you can do to preserve them in their current state. So spray with reckless abandon. And two, if you love a fragrance, if you are in the position where you can, buy it, because, with regulations coming and everything, you can't guarantee that it's going to always stay how you knew it. And unfortunately, for fragrances that aren't these big pillars, if a regulation comes and they do have to be reformulated, sometimes they just get discontinued. They don't even get reformulated. You just don't have access to that fragrance anymore. And regulations do happen every year, but they affect every fragrance differently because every fragrance's composition is different. So a regulation that might really affect one fragrance may leave another completely untouched, and you just don't know which one it's going to affect. And we in the industry don't know either, because a lot of these regulations are usually coming from external bodies. So yeah, I hope that gives you a little bit of light on why your perfumes change, whether that be due to the use of them or to regulations. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. If you have just some genuine questions on stability, reformulation, things like this, I'm more than happy to answer them. Let me know what you think about videos more about the industry as opposed to perfumes. I'm also curious to that as well. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.